Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to NATO headquarters in Brussels. I'm joined today by General Mark van Oen from SHAPE, who you already know, to update you on our military operations related to Libya. But before doing that, please let me provide you with a short update on ongoing political events. Well, we believe that the coordinated approach pursued by NATO, along with our partners of the United Nations from the region and the African Union and the European Union, remains the right response to the crisis in Libya, and therefore the Secretary General of NATO will join the meeting of the contact group in Doha tomorrow. His presence in Doha shows how committed the alliance is to a political and a comprehensive solution to the crisis of Libya. At the same time, in Brussels, the alliance continues its political consultations. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the North Atlantic Council will meet with our 6 operational partners to discuss the latest developments in Libya and to finalize preparations for the foreign ministers meeting that will take place in Berlin next Thursday and Friday. NATO has been clear and consistent. There cannot be a purely military solution, but we will continue to implement the UN Security Council resolution with vigor and with determination as long as there is a threat to the civilian population. But we should be no doubt at the same time about the situation on the ground in Libya, and Colonel Gaddafi's forces are continuing to target civilians, the civilian population as we speak. Gaddafi's regime is attacking civilians who want their own voice. Gaddafi is attacking civilians who want to choose their own future as set out by the UN Security Council resolutions, and NATO is protecting those civilians, and without NATO's efforts, even more civilians will be suffering right now. I would like now to hand over to General van Oen to provide the military update. Please, General.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with a short overview on the arms embargo and the no-fly zone. Firstly, as the arms embargo is concerned, we have had busy and successful days. The embargo is proving comprehensive and effective. At the moment, 18 vessels are under command of the Allied Maritime Command in Naples. These vessels continue to patrol in their assigned sectors, providing coverage of all priority ports along the Libyan coastline. Since the operation started, 270 vessels have been hailed and 6 boardings have been conducted. No violation of the arms embargo has been reported. Secondly, on the matter of the no-fly zone, we have continued enforcing the no-fly zone, and apart from the attempted violation last Saturday, when a fighter aircraft attempted to take off from Benghazi, we have seen no other efforts to challenge the no-fly zone. This MiG-23, flown by opposition forces, was intercepted and forced to land within minutes of taking off from the Benina airfield near Benghazi on Saturday. Before I elaborate on the third part of our mission, the protection of civilians, I want to say something about the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground is dynamic, fluid, and changing constantly. In the east, opposition forces retook control of Aidabia yesterday, 2 days after being driven to the northern edge of the city. Regime forces withdrew towards Brig and deployed their lead elements east of that city. Opposition forces have deployed elements southwest of Aidabia. So the confrontation line is once again between Brega and Aidabia. In the west, the city of Misrata is still under pressure. Regime forces, after having withdrawn heavy armaments from some of the city's neighborhoods, keep on maintaining the pressure. Yesterday, they continued their shelling. However, they did not stop humanitarian assistance entering the city. In the Zintan area, southwest of Tripoli, regime forces yesterday attacked several cities and they continue to several cities, and they continue to shell populated areas. Now I want to cover NATO operations to protect the civilian population and the impact NATO is having on the ground. Over the weekend and yesterday, NATO aircraft were heavily involved in intervention operations aiming to degrade Gaddafi's ability to use heavy weapons in civilian populated areas. Since Friday's briefing, NATO has continued to dismantle the fighting ability of the Gaddafi regime throughout the country, with particular attention to the three cities under the most threat, Aidabia, Brig and Misrata. While NATO's operation is focused on destroying the heavy military equipment posing the biggest threat to civilians, airstrikes are also hitting ammunition bunkers and lines of communication to cut off these forces from their supplies. To summarize the results of the weekend activities, 49 tanks were destroyed over the weekend, as well as 9 armored personnel carriers, 3 anti-aircraft guns, and 4 large ammunition bunkers. Most of the tanks destroyed were being deployed around Aidabia, where Gaddafi forces fell back from their positions in the city after Sunday's airstrikes. Yesterday, we were also successful in the Zintan area in the vicinity of the town Yafran, where NATO airstrikes destroyed 4 pro-regime tanks. So we know we are having an effect. Pro-Gaddafi forces cannot fight where they want. They cannot fight how they want, and they cannot use the weapons they want. Nothing indicates, however, that Gaddafi has any intention of disengaging from operations. Because his heavy weapon systems have been hit hard over the last few days, we expect pro-regime forces to favor hit-and-run tactics conducted by motorized columns of pickup trucks in order to wear out the opposition forces psychologically rather than gain ground, especially in the east. Therefore, NATO will continue to prevent hostile forces from threatening civilians and population east of Brig and in the vicinity of Misrata, as well as prevent hostile forces resupply. The average number of sorties flown over the last 7 days is 155 sorties, of which 62 were strike sorties. So this is a percentage of over 40%. In total, since the beginning of the operation, we executed almost 1,900 flights with around 800 strike sorties. Finally, we have been working on procedures to deconflict and ease the passage of humanitarian flights and shipping, and we have seen a steady increase in the level of humanitarian assistance activity into Libya. Since the beginning of the operation, a total of 34 movements of humanitarian assistance have been executed. 21 via the air, so by flights, 7 via the sea, by ship, and 6 via the ground. Momentarily, 7 maritime and 2 ground movements of humanitarian aid are in execution. Just to give you an example, 2 ships who delivered humanitarian assistance in Misrata are now en route to Malta. And today, another ship with humanitarian aid will arrive in Misrata. So the port in Misrata is still open and under opposition control, allowing the delivery of humanitarian aid directly into the city. That's all I have, and I'd be more than happy to take questions you may have.
Please identify yourself.
Peter Spiegel with the Financial Times. Sorry. General, can I ask you to talk a bit more about Misrata? You may have seen that the French foreign minister this morning was rather critical of NATO's efforts, particularly relating to Misrata, saying they have not struck enough of the heavy equipment, not cleared enough of the humanitarian aid for the city. Can you address those comments? And also, it sounds like what you were saying is that the